Welcome back to another episode of Mirchi and Mocha, where the chai is hot, the gossip is hotter, and the vibes are always Desi girl fabulous.
I'm Alicia,
And I'm Preeti.
and today we're diving into that sweet, sparkly stage we all love to romanticize, the honeymoon phase of a relationship.
You know, when everything is butterflies, hot eyes, and no, you hang up the first.
But how long does the magic really last? Is it all real, or just are we just high on hormones and shared Spotify playlists?
We'll spill the chai on the highs, the hilarious lows, and what comes after the sparkles fade. So grab your cup, get comfy, and let's talk about love, lust, and everything in between.
All right. I love this topic, Preeti. This is like
Me
the
too.
romantic. The romantic in me is so happy right now that we're discussing this.
I know you are a die-hard romantic person.
I know because when I met my husband, I had made it perfectly clear to him that my absolute critical criteria in life when I'm looking for a partner is I need someone who is a romantic, and that is a must have. I don't care about anything else. And that was me in my rose colored glasses, right? I don't care about anything else. I just love pyar pe jiyenge, pyar pe marenge. That was my whole persona.
Pyar is going through my blood.
Okay, let us talk. Preeti, tell me what was your absolute favorite moment in your honeymoon phase with Naren?
I think, to me, learning about him. I think
Aww.
that was the best thing, and
Mhm.
trying to understand and discussing our problems and how he would give
Yeah,
me solutions, and um, so that made me slowly fall for him more and more each day.
gotcha.
And I think that was the honeymoon phase. Like
That is
that was the
so
best thing for
cute.
me. I am not you know, I'm not the person who will get butterflies. Like I
No,
am.
no, I know. But I can totally understand what you mean because I think that is such a wonderful phase in a relationship, right? Like when you don't know the person completely and there's so much potential in the relationship that like slowly like a peel of an onion, you're like just
Yes.
unraveling one layer
and
after
and
another and getting
something
to
where
know.
you are getting accepted, right?
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
getting judged,
Yep.
not feeling intimidated,
Yep.
not feeling, you know, like you're walking on the eggshells around that person. I think that's the relief that, oh, something that I always thought, like, if I will have a partner, he'll be like this, like that. So he was
Hmm.
slowly checking off all those boxes.
Oh, that's so
That
nice.
was the thing that I was very happy with. What about yours? I want to know yours.
Okay.
You're like a
I love
filmy romantic person, so I want to know yours.
Yeah, and I love how like different our personalities are. Your analytical brain is loving the checklist, like things on
Yes.
the checklist. My romantic brain, what I absolutely loved with Ankit was our I'm unapologetic about it. Like our mushy romance. He would write me love letters. He would send me poetry. He would like,
Really? I didn't know
uh,
that. Now I want one
yes, can you
for me.
imagine like my
Ask
sweet
Ankit send one for me. Like, मेरी बहन.
मेरी प्यारी बहना done.
Right?
Oh my God. So that was my favorite part. That whole like being insanely in love with each other and being in that phase where we are talking to each other for hours and hours and hours. All the cliches, talking to each other
Yeah.
and literally like, no, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. All of that. And literally, we hadn't even met when we were like super young. This was like pretty late in our life, and still the romance, like the romantic in me would want to do all of those things, and like those were the parts that I absolutely loved. He would
Aww.
write me letters, handwritten letters that he would mail to me, and and all the lovely poems that he wrote for me, all the cute little gifts that made a lot of like emotional sense and all of that. So that was my
Oh, that's so cute.
absolute
That's so
favorite.
cute. Super cute. I mean, I love that. Like, I'm not gonna say, I mean, if you can do that, great. You know, I think I don't have that much patience. So
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
lived
क्यों
for that
मेल किया? Message कर देते, मिल जाता.
stuff. I lived for that stuff. That
No,
was
that's
fun
so
times. It
sweet.
was fun
And I
times.
think everybody's honeymoon phase is all about positives, right?
Yep.
We always kind of overlook the negatives, and in that time period, I think we don't have. I mean, we will fight. Definitely, there will be
Yeah.
arguments, but it's just to, and the arguments are also cute, right?
Cute. I know. I was literally gonna say that. Even the
तुमने ऐसे क्यों
arguments are
बोला?
so
मुझे hurt हुआ है. You know,
cute.
like I'm hurt.
I
So,
know. I know.
and
The
even
arguments are also adorable.
and we are scared that we don't want to hurt that person, like
Mm-hmm.
during that phase. Like we are so careful,
Yeah.
so protective. We don't want to hurt the person. We want to be the best behavior and do the best
Absolutely.
things. Like give the unrealistic expectations to the person. Like, bhai, main to,
Absolutely.
you have won the lottery tickets.
You have won the lottery, and on the flip side, also, you are literally the definition of the term rose-colored glasses, right?
Yes,
You are wearing rose-colored glasses. So oftentimes you don't see the red flags because of these
you're so,
rose-colored
yeah.
glasses. You don't see the drawbacks, you don't see the issues, the challenges, because you're so keen on wanting to see the best version of that person.
And
You want
impressing
your
the other person, you will ignore
exact.
everything because you just want to win that person's heart,
Yep.
no matter
Yep.
what
Yep.
cost, right?
Yep.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's one of the reasons. But imagine, right? We don't like everyone that way. We just
Yeah.
like like at that point, you
That
like only
person.
that person,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
right? And you are like totally smitten in love with that
Yeah.
person, right?
And the idea of the happily ever after, the idea of like living that perfect life, finding your soulmate and, riding into the rainbow together is
Yes.
such, the idea is more romantic than the romance itself sometimes because
Mm.
you so desperately want to live that dream. So oftentimes you tend to adjust, you tend to overlook some of the issues and all of that too. But it's a wonderful phase in the relationship, no doubt
Exactly.
about it. No
It's
doubt
the
about
best. I mean, that's the best part of your relationship. That's the stepping stone of your relationship if
it.
you
Yeah,
do it correctly. If
yeah,
not, then it's the downfall,
absolutely.
right?
And so that's why that period when, because, you know, finally reality hits. Finally,
At some
things
point, yeah.
at some point, right? Like your daily responsibilities, your tensions, everything, the stresses of life creep in.
Yes.
And these rose-colored glasses are finally shattered. And that can either lead to two paths. One is that you are so devastated by the loss of that amazing image that you had created in your mind about this person that your relationship cannot sustain it, or you transform your relationship into something deeper and more meaningful. So it
Exactly.
really can go two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it also depends on the person's expectations
Yep.
that if you expect somebody to treat you the same way
Yep.
every day of the year and year after year, that's not going to happen,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
because
I
we are
heard,
different people.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I heard someone say this, and I loved this quote is that, like, your relationship is like the seasons of a year. Your relationship has seasons. There's
Yes,
the spring, which is your, honeymoon phase. There's the summer, there's the winter, there's the fall. And like if you are in summer and you expect snowfall, it's
not
not
gonna.
the relationship's fault. It's the fault of your expectations that you are in a
Exactly.
different phase in your life. You cannot expect rainfall in
I
when
mean, you
it's
cannot
winter, like
expect snowfall in the summer. Yes.
summer. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's
Yeah.
having to mentally get adjusted to this sort of change in the season that's so important if you want to sustain your relationship.
Exactly. And growing with time, right? Changing your,
Yep.
because I was a totally different person when I got married to Naren. And we both grew with
Yeah.
together, right?
Yep.
We were different people, we came together, and now we are growing together. Our ideas, there are times we kind of clash. There are things that I don't agree, he doesn't agree, but then we try to understand each other, like why is she saying this or why he's saying that, and then we are like, okay, that's fine, and we'll try to correct a little bit, and then we'll go together. So
Yep.
definitely there will be clashes as long as you want to work together,
Yep.
right?
And it's through these like clashes, it's through these small ups and downs that you start learning each other's personality, each other's sensitivities, learn how to cope with that person, learn how to grow with that person. You have to sort of go through that growing pain when you
Exactly.
transition from the honeymoon phase into something different. That transition phase is not easy.
It's not
Tell me,
pretty.
Preeti, what was your sort of experience with that when that transition happened? Because I'm sure that transition happened at some point. Now
Oh
you've
yeah,
been in a
yeah,
relationship with
it
Narendra.
happened, and it was a little ugly, I will say. We did
Okay.
definitely, because we both are different mindsets, right? And
Yeah.
I'm very strong. I'm not like a, like we talked about the last
Yeah.
episode. I'm not a bichari, I'm a bitch. So I am very, very honest and very transparent when it comes to talking. So, which was a little hard for Naren, because somewhere he assumed me being a little bit more like I will change my ideology as I go through the relationship, which I was like,
Hmm.
no, I
Yeah.
told you this is not gonna happen. I'm not gonna harm anyone
Yeah.
verbally, physically, but I won't let anybody harm me in
Yeah.
any way, right?
Yeah.
That's why I studied so hard. If
Hmm.
needed, I can walk out of this relationship.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, I think that was somewhere he thought I'll adjust to it.
Yeah.
He didn't, but he realized like this is what she is, this is how she
Hmm.
likes, and what's wrong in it?
Yeah.
I'm not killing anyone, I'm not hitting anyone, I'm not
Yeah.
abusing anyone
Yeah.
financially, physically, verbally. Then I'm not doing anything wrong just because I'm
Yeah.
asking for the rights that
Yeah.
I deserve, how I need to be treated. I have idea of how I want. What's wrong in that? So
Yeah.
he's
Absolutely.
he came to my level, and he understands, and we both are at a good place now. But I'm not gonna say we pulled each other's hair or anything. It was
Yeah.
more verbal and trying to make each other understand. I think that's how we were.
Yeah.
So yeah, but he got it, and
That's
we
awesome.
are in a better place.
That's awesome. For me, it was, I'm not going to lie, it was a bit of a shock
Uh
almost.
huh.
Because, like you said, right, I am a diehard romantic. So for me, hanging on to that romantic phase was everything. It was everything. So for me, suddenly, when all of life's reality, all of life's responsibility started coming in the way of our romance, it started becoming uncomfortable.
Yes.
Where are all my love letters? Where are my poems gone? Where is
Yeah.
my I love you fact 17 times a day? What? But in real life, you don't have the time to write each other love letters. You don't
Exactly.
have the time to do all of this. And so reality came in the way of my perfect vision of what romance is. And that was very difficult for me to reconcile with. And so the way I handled that, the way both Ankit and I sort of handled that was taking a different perspective in terms of, okay, writing a love letter is an expression of showing love, but at the same time taking on a chore that was meant for me, like doing the dishes so that I can
Yeah.
relax and watch TV, is also a way of
Yes.
like, showing love. Letting me have a girls' night out while he watches the kids so that I can unwind and relax is also a form of love language.
Yes.
So, this transition of respecting each other and paying attention to the little needs of each other. So it's essentially like the love language shifted from it being very
Action.
superficial and like highly lovey dovey to meaningful and adding a layer of intricacy into the relationship, which was a very, in the end, now that in retrospective, now that I see it, it feels like a very beautiful transition
Oh yeah,
for
definitely,
so
definitely. I mean, it's love in the form of action, right? Word
exactly,
action speaks louder than words. So
absolutely,
I think that's a
absolutely
beautiful way of showing your love, like
true.
seeing your partner, what does she need? What does
Yep,
he need? And doing that thing
yep.
before asking. It's the
With
best form of expressing.
such an important, and really, I think, you know what? I feel like a lot of people struggle with this transition of their
Yes.
relationship and the phases of their relationship. But I think it's some form of acceptance that you have to look at and have to have like a bit of a positive outlook in terms of, okay, now the relationship is getting deeper. It's becoming more and more meaningful.
Hmm.
We're growing together. And I think a really critical factor in the beginning, we talked about how the end of this honeymoon phase can either result in the relationship breaking
Hmm. Hmm.
or the relationship becoming more meaningful. And I think
Yeah.
and this is my opinion, I think
Okay.
two things are really important that will define whether your relationship will sustain or not. One is whether your relationship has that baseline of friendship and trust. Like whether you and me, do you like really like me as a person? It's beyond the attraction, it's beyond the
Yes.
physical look. Do you
Yes.
really like the person that I am? One. And second is the respect that you have for me.
Exactly.
These two things, if the answer to both these questions, do you respect me? And whether you like my soul as a person beyond the attraction, beyond the looks, beyond the every superficial element, if
Exactly.
the answer to these two questions is yes, then the chances of your relationship sustaining are a lot higher, you
And
know.
do you know what? The other thing is, I have noticed through friends, family, like when they go through problems, and I'm like, why? They lie
Yep.
to impress the other person. They lie, they hide,
Yep.
or they don't come clean, or
Yep. Yep.
they are adjusting. Arey theek hai yaar, it's okay. I'm not gonna tell. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is
Yeah.
the foundation. If you
Yeah.
are building your relationship on lies,
It
you are
is, yeah.
giving a wrong impression to the girl or a guy that you're this, how long you can keep up with the act? That's my,
Charade, yeah, yeah.
you
And
know,
when expectations are shattered, it becomes so hard to reconcile with
it's
like those broken
people
expectations.
don't realize that cheating is a form of lying, right?
Yep.
And when you're lying to your partner, saying, I'm this, I'm that, I'm traditional, but also you want to be modern, or you're saying because the guy wants you to be modern, and
Yeah,
you're saying, but you're not, you're traditional.
yeah.
No, it's not going to, because
There's a
somewhere the truth will
disconnect.
come out, and truth
True.
walks naked. It doesn't need any kind of, layers. So
Yep, yep,
when that breaks, you lose so much of trust in that person.
yep,
And that was my base of my relationship, like transparency, trust.
yeah,
You can tell me the truth, like no matter how hard is it, I'll take it.
yeah.
But if you lie to me
Absolutely.
and I came to know later, I hate that. I
Absolutely.
cannot go back to that relationship again, or I cannot go back to that person the same way I was. So
Yeah,
me and Noreen built it on a very strong foundation. So no matter how much we fight or argue, we can come through it without causing a lot of damage to our relationship.
yeah,
We are growing up vertically,
yeah, yeah.
then slowing down or
Yeah.
branching out.
Yeah, and I'm noticing that like as mine and Ankit's relationship transitions over from that romantic phase to
Hmm.
a more stable phase, what I'm realizing is that it is a more enriching experience here also because now I'm realizing that we truly enjoy each other's company, even as like buddies. Sometimes that whole
Yeah,
romance is on the side. Now we're just hanging out together, watching a movie, doing nothing. And that's also fun
exactly.
because we truly like each other's core personality more than just the superficial aspect. And that is so important to
At
sustain your
the
relationship.
end of the day, it's a companionship that is left. you
True.
know it's the
True.
companionship that you seek for.
Yeah.
romance and this, all the butterflies will fly away.
Fly
What
away.
really leaves is, can you tolerate that person in the house?
Yes, absolutely.
and
That is so
and
important.
I wanted a best friend,
Yep.
and I found one. You know,
Yep. And
you know.
also, I feel like there is strength in realizing that there shouldn't be 100% dependency on one person either. I feel like having my girlfriends, having a
Mm,
support system that I can discuss my issues with is so critical to balancing my relationship. You know what I
obviously.
mean?
Yes, yes. You cannot expect your partner to be everything for you, right?
Absolutely.
You know, he,
Absolutely.
and if you have that kind of expectation, then you are going on the
Set up
you
for
are on
disaster.
wrong. Yes.
Set up for disaster.
So
Absolutely.
you need people who can help you understand something differently, or let you see this different perspective. You know,
Absolutely.
you
Help
need
you
that kind
walk
of friend.
out off the ledge. Help you
Yes,
walk
yes.
off the
Before
ledge in
you
figuratively speaking.
exactly. No, I think you're right. Having friends who can help you
Yeah.
to get away or understand the perspective better
Yep.
helps, because you cannot rely on the one person. You cannot rely on your partner. Already, you guys are sharing life. You're
Yep.
sharing finances. You're sharing kids. You're sharing a lot of other things like family issues and social life. So it's
Yep.
a lot of burden on the partner if
Yep.
you want everything to be seen eye to eye.
Yep. Yep. But also, I feel like another thing is that, keeping the romance alive in a relationship is also critical because
Yeah.
while that transition phase happens, it doesn't mean that you just sit back and you're like, okay, now we're not like, we don't need to be romantic anymore. Having that, like everything in life that is worth doing needs to have a systematic effort put in. At least that's my perspective. In that,
Exactly.
like, you need to make an effort to stay romantic, to keep that spark alive. So, Preeti, tell me what is something that you and Naren do to keep the spark alive in your relationship?
Oh my God, you're asking the wrong person, but
Spy,
I'll tell you.
interesting.
There's nothing spicy here. But I think what I want to do, like, we still have a good spark. Like, I'm not gonna say we don't have attraction or we fizzled out. No, we are not. But it's just that the stresses, right? The
Yep,
kids and co-sleeping and all those things kind of come in our way.
true.
But I think as long as I'm physically fit, my husband is physically fit, we are trying to sneak some date nights,
Oh, that's
some time
lovely.
alone. I think you don't need to be physically having sexual experience throughout, because as you after a point, I think it's more like you're together, you're spending quality time with each other
The
is what
time is
matters.
important. Yep,
Even
that's what.
hugging is enough. Like, that makes me feel so good. You don't need to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think we just go to Costco together, just us, leaving the kids behind.
I
So
love
we
that.
catch up, and I don't need to go to date nights, like go catch a drink or something. But anything to have that quality one-on-one time is what I look for, and that is, I think, keeping us together and helping us to be closer, intimate, and I think working out together is what I'm aiming
That is
for,
so
you
That
know?
is so sweet. I love that. And this is such a practical sort of tip for even our listeners is that you don't have to wait for big gestures,
No.
big fancy date night. It's having to romanticize the small little everyday things in your life, like Costco runs, grocery store runs,
Or
working
drinking
out
coffee
together, all
together,
of
or
these.
watching some series together while the kids are sleeping, or
Absolutely.
anything you can do. We usually sit together, but we do our things. Like, I'm doing
Yeah,
my paperwork, or he's watching a show, he's watching a game, and I'm watching something on. But we like that physical touch. Like,
that
I'll
is
be
so
I'll be
sweet.
sitting together, cuddling in a blanket, and we are happy there.
I love that.
That's
I
my
love
home.
that.
You know.
That is
What
so
about
sweet.
you?
For us, it's we have a routine of like date nights. We do that like without fail. We have our date nights. Another thing that we always do is we will, even now,
Mm-hmm.
we never uh, sleep at different times. We're always going to bed together. And
Same.
when we are even in bed, we spend a good 15 minutes discussing our day. And I feel like that is like the highlight of my days, where we are cuddled up together and we're just discussing how our day was, what our thoughts were. We're just laughing about silly things, laughing about, regular things. We will oftentimes go for movies, like, movie nights
Mm-hmm.
together. So these are the certain things that we do for each other that like keeps the romance alive in our relationship even today.
Perfect. I think I like that. I mean, if you can squeeze out a nice date night, why not? Go for it. I
Absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely.
The
And
only
a quick
problem is we cannot stop talking about kids. So I feel like it's a waste of energy and money and everything. So I'm like, you know what? We'll do it when we are ready. I don't know if I'm ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes date nights for us is tagging the kids along,
Oh yeah.
plopping them
You
on the
told me.
side of the I think I've told you this, right? Like
Yes,
we will
yes,
oftentimes, our kids will tag along on our date nights when there is no sitter available. We don't want to go around looking for a sitter. We're the quintessential Indian couple who find it
yes,
really hard to spend money on a sitter while we are going out, and it's always hard as a mom for me to trust a sitter,
exactly.
all of those things. And our kids are at that age where it's a little bit uncomfortable for me to leave my kids alone, so we will bring them along, we'll give them their iPads, connect them to their iPads, and they are literally zoned out. And it's me and Ankit enjoying our alone time while the kids are sitting with us. So
That's
that's our
perfect.
version of of a date night that
I
we
think
absolutely enjoy.
anything where you can find time to connect with each other is what matters. If
Absolutely.
you can make it
Absolutely.
work with the iPads, just putting them in their own zones and you can have your own time, great.
Yep.
More
Yep.
power to
For
you.
sure.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I think
good.
that's a very good that's we are at the end of our topic, and I feel like the the honeymoon phase is very, they make it look like it's so beautiful, this and that, but people forget that's a phase where you are supposed to connect. You're supposed to build your values as a couple, build your life, plan out your life,
Yep.
and
Yep.
figure out what works for you both. That should be the, base of your foundation of your phase,
Truly,
so
truly love that. And I really enjoyed this topic because we talked through like the amazing part of our honeymoon phase and transitioning out of it and how one copes and what that means for a relationship. And just because you're transitioning out of a honeymoon phase doesn't mean that the best part of your relationship is over. It
no,
means
no,
that you're now looking into another very interesting part of a relationship. So it's not always, oh, now it's life is routine. It means
no,
that life is getting deeper and more interesting with someone who you've really found a good connection with, and that's
exactly.
what's something.
Exactly. I think that's the best way to end it, on that note. Um,
On that note, absolutely. So, whether you're still in the honeymoon phase, just stepped out of it, or wondering where the butterflies flew away, remember, love evolves, and that's not a bad thing.
yep, real connection starts after the glitter settles, when it's messy, honest, and still somehow magical.
Thanks for hanging out with us today and getting all mushy with Mirchi and Mocha.
If you laughed, nodded, or texted your boo while listening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop us a sweet little comment.
And we'll see you next time for more spicy steaks, sweet stories, and strong opinions. Desi girl style.
Bye.
Bye.